Conference room by Jamie McMurray. Jamie's a former Brickyard 400 winner. Jamie's won the Daytona 500. I believe he's won the Coke 600. Won a lot of races.
Yeah. Come
in second. But anyhow, Jamie is back here and to race at tradition-rich Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Just talk about Jamie as you reflect back with that victory that year, and then coming back here now. Just how big a deal was that to win here at the Brickyard? How big a deal is it?
Well, for me, when I look back at the picture of getting to kiss the bricks, it's special for a lot of different reasons. But one of those is because Christy was pregnant with Carter, 7 months, I think, pregnant, pretty big belly. And I remember on that day, as we kissed the bricks, looking at her and telling her, you know, what a special memory we're going to have with him. The fact that, you know, we won this race and we're kissing the bricks and he's in your belly. And so we have that picture in our motorhome, and we talk about it each weekend. And Carter, you know, he's 4.5. He doesn't completely understand how important this track is to all of us. And quite honestly, he relates to this track based on the movie Turbo, where the snail races around here. We watched that a couple of times this week, and he's like, "Dad, that's the track we're going to, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Carter, that's where we're going." So he doesn't quite get it, and you know, as special as it is. But so for me, when I look back to that day, that's one of the memories that pops up first.
Well, that is pretty neat. But we wouldn't have known that if we hadn't asked you about it, right? So
that's right.
We'll take questions now for Jamie. We'll start right here with Jared, and then we'll go to John.
FoxSports.com.
There you go.
I wanted to ask you about Chevy's dominance here. Mm-hmm. Chevy's won the vast majority of the races here. You're obviously in a Chevy. How much confidence does that give you, and why do you think Chevy's been so strong here over the years, Jamie?
Yeah, it's interesting that when you look at some of the tracks, how it seems like certain makes will dominate that track over others, and this has been a great track for Chevy. I don't think anyone can explain exactly why, but it has been a great track. We have a really good car this weekend. I feel really good about the one car. We were able to unload close in the first practice. I think we were 3rd or 4th right off the truck. And that is a big deal every single weekend, but it's a huge deal this weekend because we have somewhat of a limited amount of practice with a completely different package, and there's a lot of unknowns going into that. So the fact that you can start off on the right foot is critical in your weekend. And so we haven't had to make dramatic changes. We had a test plan. Matt and Josh have done a really good job at executing the plan and not having to worry about lap times because we've been able to post a time each practice out, and so yeah, it's been a good weekend so far. I don't think it's a fluke. It's obviously been a good track for the Chevy drivers. I don't know how many Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson have won together, but I'm gonna guess it's half of them, right? So those two guys have a really good track for them, and I think you can put it down to that. Those guys have won a lot of races here, and they're in Chevy cars, and just been a good track.
Let's go to John. Go ahead.
Thanks. John Oravitz, ESPN.com. I was looking at your stats, and they're almost identical at this point in the year to what Ryan Newman's were last year. And obviously,
that's good.
Newman went on. He had a really great second half of the season and pushed hard for the championship. Does that kind of give you hope or inspiration for what you could achieve here in the second half of this year?
We've had a really good year. We've been able to take our bad days and turn them into 15th place finishes, which is ultimately what you have to do if you want to have a good points year. We've also had a couple of the short tracks have been really good for us. Richmond and Phoenix was good. I was a little bit disappointed at Loudon last weekend. We honestly only had about a 6th to 8th place car. I would love to have had that finished back right now. I ended up making a mistake on a restart, and I didn't miss a shift. I actually went from 3rd to 2nd and just over-revved the engine, and limped around to like a 26th place finish, which stings really bad at this point in the season because that's 20 points that I feel like we gave up last week that we didn't have to. But our season's been really good. Our team's done a really good job. I'm in my second year with a rookie crew chief. Matt has done has done a great job. I mean, when I look back at starting the season to his preparation for each weekend, Matt got to the shop at like 3:45 in the morning on Monday after I made a mistake shifting. I felt like he thought there was more pressure on him to do well. And so I can't say enough nice things about him. He's done a great job of preparing the car every single weekend, and our team has done a really good job at executing their weekends.
Front row there, Bruce.
Bruce Martin, Race Day on Fox Sports Radio and also Speed Sport Magazine. Has the spoiler done what you thought it would, or do you think the closing rate is going to be as dramatically different as some people think it might be?
Well, I think it's really hard to give you an answer to that because we haven't had a restart first off. And to me, the restart is where this package is going to play a bigger role than in practice. The thing with practice is that as you start to catch the car in front of you, typically their car is not very good. So when you see somebody catching you fairly quick, you pull in so you can work on it, get your car better. So I really haven't been within 10 car lengths of anyone in front of me. The closest I was to anyone was behind Biffle at the very start of practice, and he pulled off the racetrack when I got within about 10 car lengths of him. So I really don't know. I haven't got to feel they said it's like 100 and some horsepower drag advantage to the car and back. I haven't been close enough to feel that yet. So, and I honestly think until we get into the race on Sunday that it's hard to get anyone's true opinion on what we're going to have. To me, on Sunday, when you get two cars side by side with this package, the guy in third is going to have an extra engine. It's going to be crazy the amount of speed that he's going to have, and so I don't know. The restart's going to be pretty wild, I think.
Who else had a question? Let's go to Dick, and then we'll go to the gentleman here, Chris, and then Woody.
Jamie and Dick Mittman, the 500 old timers. Every driver that comes in here talks about preparing the car to reach a perfect setup for the race. Was your car, when you won, perfect, and how hard is it to get to that point?
So the year that I won, the 42 really dominated the race. Juan led most of the laps. I believe he might have set on the pole for that year. I think I qualified third or fourth. This is one of the harder tracks to pass at, so qualifying is critical. And I wouldn't say my car was perfect that year, but we didn't have anything to do with it. Bono made a really good decision to put two tires on at the end, and it got us a track position we needed. And then once you get out front, I think the 42 got back in dirty air, and they ended up crashing actually in the race. But so you don't have to have a perfect car, but you do have to have a perfect race.
Let's go to the gentleman in the middle, Chris, and then we'll go to Woody.
Brian Eberly, Motor Racing Digest. Ron Rivera came by your shop again this week. Last time he was there in 2014, you went out and won the All-Star race. Was there anything in particular you took away from his visit this time?
Well, I actually wasn't at the shop the first time that Ron came. I was at an appearance, so I didn't meet him until the night of the All-Star race and got to say hi to us for a few minutes. And then he actually came to Victory Lane that night and hung out. I think we got to spray him with champagne, so that was kind of fun. But his speech this week was super inspirational. I went up to him afterwards, and I'm like, I feel like tackling somebody. I'm like, I totally get at halftime how you can motivate your guys. He's first off a really big guy. Everybody's big to me, but he's a pretty big guy in general. And he just has the ability when he raises his voice. He had very articulated words, and he just got your attention and just great examples. You kind of after listening to him, you understand why he is an NFL coach. So that was cool. I told him kind of jokingly that we won the last time he was there, and I was thankful that he was there before the Brickyard this year because this is one of our bigger races. So hopefully it works again.
Let's go to Chris, and then we'll go to Woody.
ChrisMyCatchfence.com. Jamie, recently on Fox Sports 1's Race Hub, they said that your cool, calm, and collective demeanor has made you one of the most underrated drivers on the circuit. Are you okay with that assessment?
Well, here's what I would tell you. I think I do a better job of hiding it than everybody else. And I also don't key the radio when I'm mad or when I have something to say. I don't know why people key the radio to announce to the world what they're feeling. It's really no one. I mean, that takes thought to actually key the radio and say everything. I have moments just like everybody else. I just don't let everyone see it.
Go ahead, Woody, in back row.
Woody came with MRA. And Jamie, earlier we were talking about Jeff Gordon maybe approaching the Ironman record, and it started me thinking about how different guys got their career started. And I was curious, who helped you get down this path to where you are today, and what did they do to help you get this start and this far?
Yeah, I mean, really, my first big break came with late model racing with a guy that owned the tracks in Missouri where I raced. It was guys named Bill and David Willard. And then my next break came from Mittler Brothers, which was awesome to see that truck at Eldora. And it was so much fun to look at. They've got smallest pit box on pit road. And as I looked, I recognized a few of the guys actually sitting on there that I haven't seen in 15 years. But the coolest thing for me of that race was I saw a picture online of Mike Mittler in the fender well of the truck teching the engine. And you guys might not know Mike. When I drove that truck, Mike built the engines. Like, he would work his day job, and then our race shop was right down from Mittler Brothers, main office. And Mike would come down at 7 or 8 at night, and I remember, staying till 1 or 2 in the morning, and he'd build the engines, and we would dyno them, and then we'd put them in the next day, and it was, you just don't see that anymore. And I have no idea if Mike built that engine, but I know how proud he was of being able to do that. And I know that was it had to be one of the highlights of his racing career of what happened at Eldora, so it was really fun for me to watch.
Let's go back to front row to Bruce.
Have you been up to the shop on 71st Street, and do you think your teammate has a chance to catch your former teammate for the title?
So I'm assuming you're talking about the IndyCar shop. I don't know the address. I have not been to the IndyCar shop. And when I saw Juan wreck out early last week, I'm like, wow, this is going to be a huge point turnaround. I fell asleep before the race was over, but when I woke up and I saw that Scott didn't have a good night, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know how the IndyCar point system works. It seems like you can make up ground faster there than you can on the NASCAR side. And Scott is, man, I mean, I've got to run the Rolex race with him a few times, and he's an exceptional driver, and he's super quiet and stealthy. And so I would never count him out until it's mathematically impossible.
Jared, did you have another question? Go ahead, Jared.
You were talking about not keying the radio when you're pissed off, basically. What's the key? Is there some kind of internal mechanism you have that safeguard yourself from doing that? What's
my brain? I don't know. I mean, here's the thing: is that there's not really a lot to gain by that. I have 2 kids who love watching NASCAR, but I don't want them to hear that, right? I've never been the guy to key the radio and say that, but after having kids, you're consciously, I'm not going to put that out there. You not only for kids and people scanning, but also, for McDonald's, for Cessna, for all of our partners. There's a lot of people in the suites that are listening, and I just don't think that's appropriate. Now, I think some people get off on keying the radio and making an ass of themselves. I just don't. I just say it's myself and have my own moment inside the car. And every once in a while I lose it and I key the radio, whether I'm yelling at the spotter or yelling at something that's going on, or I'm mad at someone, I want them to go talk to it. But most of the time I just don't. I just keep it to myself and I move on. Mm-hmm.
Jamie, thanks for coming in. Very interesting media session here today. Thanks again.